Warning, the following video contains some opinions. They're my opinions, and if you disagree with them, well, that's why they're opinions. Enjoy the show. MOBAs! If you've never heard of them, it stands for Multiplayer Online Battle Arena. And if you've never heard of them, do you have any extra room under the rock you live in? Because I'm goddamn sick of them! Seriously, it's turning into like the video game equivalent to herpes. If you haven't played one yet, your college roommate probably has. They are everywhere because everyone and their dog is putting out a MOBA these days. Fuck it, I'm gonna make a MOBA. You play as hats, different hats, and you push hat minions down lanes, but you don't buy items, you buy hats for your hat. It's genius next generation MOBA. No, wait, that's just Team Fortress 2. I mean, you got like Paragon, Battleborn, Master X Master, and these are just some recent ones. We also have stuff like Gigantic, Shards of War, Heroes of the Storm, Heroes of New Earth, Smite, and a pile of dead canceled ones like Dawngate and Infinite Crisis, Rise of the Immortals. Oh, this is insanity. I'm just so tired of this entire genre at this point. There's too many. There's just so many. I'm not necessarily saying that MOBAs are like bad. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of fun to be had in these games, but I mean, the number of them that has come out is kind of getting to be absurd. And some of these MOBAs aren't like pure MOBAs, like Battleborn's got a single player campaign as well, even though it was like originally developed as a MOBA, and apparently Master X Master has a dungeon crawler mode, which I am extremely confused about. So my problem with MOBAs is actually kind of twofold, and these two things like come together to form a big heap and pile of annoying. Firstly, it's how MOBA mechanics kind of eschew a lot of the ideas of how they should work. They tend to be similar, deeply similar, because there's a lot of fundamental immutable MOBA mechanics that don't really change much in between iterations. I mean, they probably could change, but they tend to not. So, MOBAs have very defined sets of mechanics. There are different characters that you play as. These characters have a set of abilities, often numbering 4, though sometimes some more, sometimes a few less. There's a lane, there are minions, you push towers, you push into the enemy base, and you win by destroying the enemy's base. And this is basically the core of MOBA. When you think MOBA, this is kind of what comes to mind immediately for a lot of people. You can rearrange a lot of these parts and change how they work to change the game flow, but at the end of the day, you are still largely involved with the same game. You are still pushing lanes, you are still killing minions in almost every case. None of these immutable mechanics seem to be removed, but how you interact with them changes from game to game. You might have a perspective shift, or you might have your ability to acquire items and upgrades tweaked a little bit and changed. Or you might have the game flow changed so that it's more focused on team fighting. But at the end of the day, these are all just essentially the same pieces being used slightly differently over and over again. What other genre does this? I'm not gonna lie to you. FPSs? I mean, what defines an FPS? You're in the first person and you gun things. It's a pretty simple concept, but it gives broad implications for how you make an FPS. For example, Bulletstorm and Doom are incredibly different from Call of Duty, but both of those are definitely an FPS. I mean, you could argue that MOBAs are really a deeply defined subgenre with a lot of focus on this core set of mechanics, similar to, say, FPSs in relation to arena shooters. But then why do we need 17,000 fucking expressions of this subgenre? But then again, I can't really pin this on the MOBA genre, because the MOBA genre itself isn't what's causing all of these MOBA clones. Instead, I can do what I love doing and blame publishers. And who doesn't like blaming those money-grubbing, crunch-time enforcing publishers and their crazy, ridiculous expectations? But seriously though, I'm not a developer or a publisher, so I don't know how the system works, but it seems to me from the outside that there are a lot of publishers who really like to chase trends. I'm looking at guys like EA and Activision and all that. When a big game comes out, they tend to latch onto that idea and try to slice off a piece of the pie, even if it ends in tears. And this didn't start with MOBAs. I mean, let's all think back to Call of Duty Modern Warfare that sparked off that modern military craze, or World of Warcraft, which sparked off that MMORPG deal. I mean, generally the cycle goes like this. Step 1, a game gets super duper popular. See League of Legends, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, World of Warcraft, and Hearthstone. These games become huge deals and make tons of money, which immediately moves on to Step 2. Publishers get wind of this, and within a couple of months you get announcements of similar games coming from them. I'm looking at you, Medal of Honor, Star Wars The Old Republic, Hex, Maybe like Dawngate. Step 3, a bunch of these don't do super well upon release because obviously there's already a juggernaut in the genre, and especially when it comes to multiplayer games, people don't tend to switch up much, and then a bunch of them fail. Some other ones go into shoestring life support from free-to-play models or whatever. And then finally we come to step 4. Another game makes it big somewhere else. Either maybe it spawned out of the genre that was going crazy like Smite did, or maybe it's just a totally different game in a totally different genre like Minecraft, and the cycle begins anew. The first flame has been linked, the chosen undead is burned away and become a lord of cinder, and a new game is to rise up for another age of mediocrity. Yeah, I know, I'm ranting, I'm raving, that's why I put Rant in the title of this, so it kind of separates it from all of my other stuff. And the solution, of course, is always just vote with your wallet, which is unfortunate because, you know, they don't care, it's all about short-term gains. The producer will probably be like, hey, well, these MOBAs worked, why ours didn't work? It's not my fault. Just fire a couple of developers who love the game and have families to feed, and then we'll move on to the next project. It's cynical, it's so fucking cynical. So what's the point of all of this ranting? Well, I'll tell you right now, I love the MOBA genre. I'm not coming down on MOBAs themselves. I'm coming down on the influx of them, the massive pile of them. And it really breaks my heart to know that a lot of these MOBAs probably are going to turn out to be financial failures, if not breaking even slightly and surviving on a very basic budget. I'm looking at games like Paragon, Gigantic, maybe even Battleborn, although Battleborn doesn't really need to worry that much because it's an upfront cost. But, I mean, I don't like to see these games fail. I hate seeing games fail on whatever reason, merit, or what have you. Master X Master, I have this feeling, is just going to disappear entirely because I have a feeling... Post in the comments down below if you knew what Master X Master was before this video, because I have a feeling that there are not many people who care. But yeah, this game, this influx of MOBAs is going to have the same effect as the MMO crash and the big first-person modern military shooter thing in the mid-2000s. It's going to leave a lot of games that are financial failures, and a lot of development time is going to be wasted on these kind of crappy financial deals. And I really wish that didn't happen. I know I'm not going to be able to change anything from here unless there's a wayward publisher listening who has an epiphany and then suddenly he's like, we gotta make creative games that are cool, we can't be wasting all of this amazing talent on yet another fucking Hearth clone. But I doubt that's gonna happen. But I can always dream. Oh, hey, thank you very much for watching this episode of the Orange Hatter Show where I talk about MOBAs and how there's 70 billion of them these days. I hope you enjoyed this little rant video. It's kind of a new thing. I don't do this much, but I wanted to kind of go off on this one, and I had no right answer to the question here, so it's just a rant. It's not a talk. But thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed this, please like and subscribe. If you got any opinions on MOBAs, please post them in the comments. I love talking to you guys. You're all amazing. And if you just want to call me a dink, you can do that too. I like to frame my favorite troll comments. I have this amazing one from, I can't remember what video it's from, but it's literally on my hard drive forever. But thank you very much for watching, and you all continue to have a great one. And as a great philosopher once said, let's play the feud! Fuck it, I'm gonna do a MOBA. You play as hats, and you put... God damn it, Dan. Fucking... God. Silent.